Welcome to Dark Side of Lust. This story is called Lesbian Delusion. My name is Jackie, and I wouldn't exactly say that I'm obsessed with this bitch online, but I can say that I lust for her. I wouldn't say I love her because I don't know if a person can actually say they love someone if they haven't been intimate with them, in regards to relationships anyway. But I will admit, I lust for her. I want her. I desire her. I dream about her. She is an online whore. All she does is spend her every single waking moment on Instagram. She has a fans only page. She has a Patreon, YouTube channel, Facebook. She's a social media bitch. And I'm addicted to her. Everyone is. But my obsession went, maybe some would say, a little too far, but I don't care. Now I have a criminal record because of this bitch. But again, I don't even care. If she was careful, then she wouldn't have to charge anybody. She's plastered all over the internet. You know, I know a lot of people are, and I know most people that have YouTube channels have Instagram and they have everything else. I know it's normal. But the way she shows her body and how she doesn't even realize she's a lesbian, she lies. She thinks she likes men. She's so messed up. Well, anyway, this is how she got me in trouble. And I won't say I got me in trouble because I won't take responsibility for her foolishness. She's the stupid one. I found her on Instagram. I was just hashtagging sexy women, looking for a beautiful girl, just to kind of, get myself off on. And I found her. And she was beautiful, is beautiful. So I started to look at all her posts, all her photos, and I followed her everywhere on social media. I was intrigued, captivated by her beauty. And I private messaged her, and she messaged me back. I was so surprised because this is a woman that has like hundreds of thousands of followers. But I have to admit, my profile pic is not of me, it's of a hot guy. And it's a dude that I kind of want to look like one day. I already had my breasts cut off, so the next thing is to enlarge my woman part down there and make it into a man. But we'll get to that in another story. This story, she fell for me like a ton of bricks. I pretended I was a hot Italian guy. Right away, she answered the DM and she started to get back to me, and I told her that I was Italian, and she was like, how do I know I'm not being catfished? After just 3 days of talking to her, she was such an easy person to just get into the head of. And I told her I wasn't a catfish, but of course I was. And I told her that I couldn't prove that I wasn't a catfish because at the time my phone wasn't working. My video wasn't working. She wanted to video chat. She wanted to video call me on Instagram. And I told her that it's just a black screen right now. And she said, let me try. So of course I allowed her to video call me on Instagram. And I just put my hand in front of the camera. And I speak a little Italian. I've learned over the years. Self-taught, I might as well say. Give myself a little pat on the back in the moment I'm learning Japanese. I don't really have much friends and I don't really have anything to do. I live with my mom in my mom's basement, but again, that's for another story. So I spoke a little Italian to her and gave her a little Italian accent, and I used my best guy voice. She fell for me. And then I told her, you know, that I'm going to send for her. I sent her more photos. Now, the hot dude that I was pretending to be, I got those photos from a Facebook account that is no longer being used since like 2010. I just collected a bunch of his photos. I don't know, perhaps the guy is dead, or maybe he just doesn't use Facebook any longer. But I just grabbed all his photos, and he had a lot of them because, again, he's hot. So he's one of those narcissistic guys that like to take a lot of photos of themselves. Thank God for narcissistic men. So I sent her a whole bunch of photos, and, she'd be like, take a photo of me, and take a photo of yourself doing this. Take a photo of yourself doing that. And thank God I'm really good at cropping photos and photoshopping photos, because she would say to me, take a photo of yourself drinking coffee. I want to make sure that it's you. So I would just Photoshop myself drinking coffee. And she believed everything. She couldn't even see that half of the photos were Photoshopped. She's so stupid. Like a real numbskull. In any case, I told her, I said, listen, I want to send for you to come to Italy. And she was like, I just can't do it because I have to do a photo chat with you before I do it. This was 2 weeks into us talking. She was willing to she was willing to go to Italy 2 weeks after talking to her. And I told her that she didn't have to worry. She can come visit me, and I'll pay for everything. I'll pick her up at the airport, and I'll even send the ticket for her. And she was like, I need to do video chat first. I can't go without video chat. And I was like, I spoke to you on the phone. I've been sending you photo after photo with you telling me what to do. What more can I do now? And she said, I know, but I'm sorry. I'm just nervous. I don't know if you're real. And so I just played the silent game. I said to her, well, if you can't trust me, we can't talk, because that is the first step of a relationship. I need you to trust me. I need you to come here without doing a video. I need you to come here knowing that I sent you all those photos, knowing that you are coming to see the person that is the love of your life. I love you. When I said those I love you words, she was like, let me think about it. I still laugh. She's such a fool. But really all I wanted was for her to show up at the airport so I could see her and talk to her in line as me. And that's what I did. So I booked the ticket for her to fly to Italy. And then 24 hours before the flight, I canceled it because I got that insurance feature on it. And she didn't know. Of course, she didn't know. So she gets to the airport and she got there nice and early. And I sat down beside her near the gate because the gates weren't even open yet to board. And there's seats around the gating area. So I sat down beside her and I started to talk to her. And I said, hey, aren't you that girl on social media? And of course, I spoke to her in my real voice. And she was like, yeah. And I said, oh, yeah, I know you. I see you. A lot of your stuff online. You're pretty good. You're just really good at what you do. And she's like, thank you. Ugh. I told her, I don't wear makeup, but, I really love your makeup tutorials. She was like, thank you. Oh, I was just like, some influencer just Some influencers really just are stupid, you know? I don't know how they can influence other people. So we start to talk, and she was actually quite interesting after a while, and she was real friendly. We started to talk back and forth, and I got a little hungry, and I said, I'm going to go get myself breakfast. There's only one spot open over there. You want to come with me and get a coffee before the gates open? And she said, yeah. I couldn't believe it. So she grabs her little carry-on, and we stroll over to the breakfast spot, and I told her I'd buy her breakfast, and I did, and we ate together, and we laughed, and we had a good time. And then I asked her if I could take a selfie with her. We took a selfie, and then she got to the lineup when the gates were about to open, and she found out that her flight was canceled. And then she was crying and crying, and I walked over to her and I said, hey, what's up? What's going on? And she's like, oh my gosh. Oh, by the way, when the flight was canceled, she immediately called my fake number, my fake Italian number. And of course, it was an online number. She's so foolish. But she called it and she called it, and I was speaking Italian, and I was like, well, in my Italian accent, and I was like, sweetheart, I don't know why it's canceled. Give me a moment. Let me see if I can fix it. Stay right there at the airport. I told her to do that because my real self wanted to go up to her and talk to her until this whole thing got figured out. I just wanted a little bit more time with her, so I was pretending like something was getting figured out. And my real self walked up to her and said, hey, are you okay? Why are you crying? And she's like, I think I just got catfished. I don't know. So I said to her, okay, let's go sit down. Tell me all about it. And I put my arm around her, and it felt good. She was warm. She smelled so good. I took her hair from out of her face, and then she was just crying and crying in my arms. She was so vulnerable. I felt bad only for a millisecond, though. Not for very long, because I was getting what I wanted. Why would I feel bad? So then she was contacting me, well, my Italian part, over and over and over again. And I could feel it vibrating in my pocket, but I didn't want to answer it in front of her. So then she's like, he's not answering. Oh my gosh, he's not answering. And I said, well, let's wait for a while. Let's go get a bite to eat. Let's go get a couple of drinks. Why don't we just go get a drink? How about we do that? Because she's like, I'm not hungry. We just ate breakfast. And I was like, well, let's go get a couple of drinks. Maybe you just need a nice shot. And she's like, okay. So I knew she really liked to drink, and I even knew what drinks she liked to drink from her social media. So we went over to the bar, and it wasn't really opened yet, but I explained to the bartender, who was just opening it up, what was happening with her. And I said, we may be here for a while because she's trying to get a hold of someone in Italy, and something's up with her ticket. So if you could please just, serve us some drinks before you open, that would be great. And they did. It was awesome. I didn't think this bartender would, because there's cameras everywhere, but the bartender did. And so we sat down and we got buzzed up. We got tipsy. And then she's like, I'm just going to go home. I can't deal with this any longer. I can't even get a hold of the guy. So I was like, just wait on him. I'm going to go use the washroom. So obviously, when I went to use the washroom, it was my little detour to go and talk to her. So I messaged her as the Italian guy, and I said, hey, I'm so sorry. Something messed up with the tickets. Maybe you can wait around for another couple of hours. And she was like, no, I'm not waiting. I'll come back tomorrow, rebook the ticket, and I want to do a video call with you. Otherwise, I am not coming back to this airport to go to Italy. And I said to her, okay, sweetheart, more please, just sit back, just wait, and we'll book it for tomorrow. So I had to run back because I was afraid that she would get up and leave the bar. And when I got back to the bar, she told me the whole story. And then she threw in a couple of lies, a little liar. He said that if maybe she just did it because she was embarrassed, but she said that he said that if things don't work out and she can't go to Italy, then he'll come here to see her. That was a lie. I didn't tell her that I would travel to where she is. But anyway, you know how bitches be. So then we're sitting there and she's like, let's have one more drink and then I got to get a cab to go home. And I told her, I said, let's get one more drink and, I'll drive you home. And she's like, but you've been drinking. And I'm like, I didn't really drink too much. I won't have a drink now. I'll just drink water and you can drink some. And so she had another drink and I drank water. And then she had another drink and I drank water. And then she had another drink. I guess she really likes free drinks. And then by this time, she was pretty tipsy. And I said to her, come on, let's go. My plan was to try to get her to a hotel room. So we started to walk out of the airport and we were going towards my car and she was just kind of, slipping and sliding. And I said to her, listen, I don't know if it's good for me to take you in the car right now. So why don't we just get a little hotel room over here? The hotels here in the airport are really nice. They have great views and, they're 5-star. We can get a nice little hotel and you can take some photos for your social media. You can probably get really good photos. There's a pool and you won't look so bad. You won't look so bad telling your social media that you were going to go to Italy and now you're just going back home. She looked at me. She's like, holy shit, that's a good idea. She's like, I love you. Oh, you're an angel. And I just loved it. And I was like, come on, let's go. I booked the best hotel room possible. A beautiful suite. I used my mom's credit card, but it was worth it. It was like $500 for the night, but it was worth it. Even though this is when I got in trouble. So we get into the hotel room and, we relax and there was a whole bar full of drinks and we got room service and everything. And she's like, this is better than going to Italy. And we ordered like a lot of room service. And so she was just taking photo after photo and she was taking all types of stuff. And she even got on live to air. And she's like, hey guys, my flight was canceled, but I decided just to come here. The guy from Italy's paying for everything. And we're going to reschedule the flight because he got busy at work. But look where he put me up. And she was only half lying because I really am the guy from Italy. And the flight was canceled and I was working on her and I was paying for it. So she really got a lot of views from that time. And then she was like so happy. We went down to the pool, because I'm a girl. At the time, I didn't have my breasts cut off. She lent me one of her bikinis, and so we went down to the pool together, and we were in the water, and she kept drinking, and then we got upstairs, and she just flopped on the bed and started to sleep. And that's when I couldn't help myself. Lust took over. I took the string from one of her panties, one of the bikini panties, and a string from the bikini bra, and I tied her wrists to the bedpost, both of them on the same side, because I was afraid to stretch her out and her wake up. And she didn't wake up. I tied both of her arms together on one post, and then I just went to town, downtown. And at first she just started to go, And then I guess she realized, like, who's doing this and where am I? And she woke up and she went, ah, and she looked at me and she's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm not a lesbian. And I looked at her and I said, just let me please you. You don't know if you are or not. Just let me please you. And she's like, no, no, oh my gosh, this is horrible. This is horrible. She's like, you're taking advantage of me. This is not right. I don't want this. I like men. And she just wouldn't let me please her. And she kept like trying to kick me away. So I just punched her in her mouth. And she screamed and screamed. And I tried to cover her mouth, but she just kept moving. And so I covered her mouth and her nose. I didn't mean to make her pass out, but at least I stopped before it went too far. And she did pass out. And then when she woke up, I told her she better be quiet. Otherwise, I will go too far. I didn't know what my plan was going to be after that, because I really didn't have one. I thought she was just going to allow me to go down on her and enjoy it. She didn't scream much. She did need to use the washroom, and I was afraid to untie her because she was strong. So she ended up going poo and pee on the bed. I took a photo of it because I told her that if she told anyone, I was going to put it on social media. And she cried. And then this is how we got caught. My mom's card was declined for the next day. I called down to the front desk and I'm like, I'd like to book another day, please. Just put it on the credit card. I thought if I just had another day with her, maybe she would give in to me. And they called back up to the room, but I wouldn't answer the phone. I just didn't want to answer the phone. I thought they were calling for like to see if we wanted anything to eat, room service or anything. And when they knocked on the door, I had no choice but to answer it. And it was the police and the front desk. Because when the front desk tried to charge my mom's card again, it declined. And then it went straight to the credit card company to report fraud because it was weird charges on my mom's card. And then they contacted my mom. And my mom said, oh yeah, my card's not here. Someone must have taken it. It must be lost. It must be stolen. So the front desk called the police. And the police knocked on the door. When the police came into the room, they saw what was happening. She was just laying there with both of her arms tied and her face bruised, and she wouldn't let me wipe the blood away from her mouth, so of course she still had blood on her mouth. And right away the police looked at her and they said, are you okay? And she said no. And she said, this woman is trying to take advantage of me. She kidnapped me, blah blah blah. She lied. I said, I didn't kidnap you. You came here willingly. Look at the cameras downstairs. And they didn't care about my side of the story at all. Eventually they found out that I was Fabio, the Italian lover, because they got into my cell phone and everything. And needless to say, I'm still on house arrest. But the good thing that came out of all this is the fact that I was able to go get my breast chopped off because I could prove to the doctor finally that I am serious about being a man and I don't want to be a woman any longer. I love women. I'm more than a lesbian. I want to be a transgender. The doctor finally believed me after this and allowed me to get the operation. So here I am in my mom's basement, breastless, jobless, loveless, and hopeless. There we go, guys. Wow. Whew. That was a heavy one. What would you do if you were the influencer? Very interesting. Be careful out there. You never know who you're going to meet. Please take a moment to subscribe, hit that like button, and don't forget to share. Dark Side of Lust.